My name's Mark Walsh from Integration Training. On a number of the courses that I run, I help people become aware of and change their thinking. This changes their perception and also their behaviour, makes them less stressed, better leaders, better at their time management, whatever it is. So our thinking is really important. A naive view would be that things in the world have qualities and and we just see the truth. And we don't have a perspective, that doesn't exist. Becoming aware of the thinking process makes you realise, there's different ways to view things, there's different ways to think about some event. So let's give an example. Let's say I have a boss that I don't like, and the boss does certain things. These are facts. I have feelings around this. My story I would choose can be different. I might, for example, say, in my head, my boss is a complete nightmare, he's a real idiot, he hates me, he always makes stupid jokes, and he's really unfair. Okay? So, hang on, let's look at that. Is that the truth or is that an opinion? Most likely there's a lot of opinion in there. So I might be generalizing, I might be guessing what's going on in his head. These are what we call thinking errors: catastrophizing, blaming, shoulding, disqualifying positive things. There's a whole list of thinking errors. If you Google thinking errors, you'll come up with loads. And the important thing is that these are less realistic. So I'm not trying to sell you positive thinking here as like we should imagine everything has a fluffy cloud around it and everything's fine. If this guy was your boss, there would be some issues, but the stories we create about that are within our control. So things in life, of course, we can manage, we can influence, we can make requests, we could leave our job, but there's only a certain amount of influence there of everything else in the world. Our stories, however, we can always manage, so it's really empowering to kind of get that part back. And of course, as well, you can do things in the world. So when I have a particular story, I see the world in a particular way, and I will then behave in a particular way as a result. So if I think my boss is stressed, and sometimes he doesn't act great because he's stressed, as opposed to just he's an asshole, that's going to really change how compassionate I am to him, for example. Equally, as we do this, as we change our stories, our perceptions and behaviour change, we're viewed differently. So that's going to change that relationship with my boss. So one system to working with this is what's called the Serenity Prayer. And you don't have to be religious, it just comes from that context. It's used a lot in 12-step programs. And this is trying to accept the things you can't change, the courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think that's a nice way of reframing many things, is saying, okay, what do I need to move from resentment to acceptance? What do I need to move from apathy to action? Another one my colleague Roger Mills came up with is what we call the stun technique. So in the stun technique, the first thing you need to do is spot your thinking. This is hard. Our thinking has us. We don't see it. And it can be really helpful to talk to a friend, to have a coach or a therapist or a mentor, someone else that can go, hang on, is that really true? Spot your opinions, separate them out from the facts. That's the next stage, is to say what's true. So we're trying to be as realistic as possible here. Again, it's not about pretending something's happening. It's not. It's about realism. What's true in any given case? The next thing we might ask is what's useful. Is it practical? Is it compassionate to hold a particular view? And if it's not, then hold another one that's true. Again, it might be that locus of control, that idea of, I have some efficacy, I have some power, I have some influence, I'm not a victim. It's a big one when I work on leadership courses, that those beliefs around being a victim or being in control make a huge difference if someone's able to be a leader or not. STU and N is new. So finding a new story, one which fits the facts and resonates for you. So in this way, we go from being victims of our thinking's just like the weather, it just happens to us, to being more aware and then be able to manage our thinking to more skillful ways. You could go through the same process with imagery as well as the kind of verbal thinking. Athletes, for example, will use a lot of this useful imagery before a race. So this kind of resilient thinking, this useful kind of thinking, a lot of people have just habitually, they've learned from their parents, their colleagues, and I think we can all improve it if we want to be more resilient or better leaders. One thing to finish I think is worth mentioning is often just changing the mind alone isn't enough, because we have embodiment. This is really our specialism as a training company. Working with the thinking simultaneously with working with the posture. Any thinking is going to have a particular embodiment, a particular posture, a particular way of being. So look at some of our other videos on posture and movement and embodiment as well. So I think they're a nice complement with working to the stories and the narratives we have going on in our head. Yeah, I hope this has been interesting. Please like it if you liked it. Please put questions, comments, opinions, all of that in the comments section. We like to dialogue with people. And of course, if you're a professional organisation and you want training, then get in touch. Thank you.